I'm Shaun Richards of Not a Yes Man's Economics. Today's subject that I want to look at is the banks. This is a worldwide issue, and this is something that's been going ever since the credit crunch started. Why? Well, because they're at the heart of all financial transactions. They cover a lot of ground, and those of you who can go back to the early days can remember the famous quote about Goldman Sachs in particular, putting its blood funnel right on the scope of money around the world and getting involved in everything. There's quite a few issues that this comes across. And let me start with the issue of the US dollar and liquidity there. Why? Well, we've been running for a couple of years now, looking at issues like US dollar shortages, and the current situation with the coronavirus has made that worse. Now, there are side effects at play here. For example, the fall in the oil price has made people nervous about certain banks and institutions because it's been a big drop. That was a sort of odd event coming in the turf war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, kicking off into another area. Just one of those things. But last week, in terms of its official efforts, the US Federal Reserve put out $206 billion to other central banks. So there are people here short of US dollars and badly needing them. And the question is who? And this leads to more problems in the banking world because they're very reliant on systems working for them and basically being able to get the money when they want it. Coming back to my home country, the UK, is something that started in Europe and now has come to here, the issue of dividends being stopped. In terms of the UK, the effect of that is around about £7.5 billion. So that's quite a lot of money. Where does that go? Well, it'll boost their capital, but of course there are problems with that. Some of this would have gone to retail investors. Maybe they would have spent it in what are now hard times. So there'll be a loss in that sector. And also looking forwards, will people be willing to back the banks? Because the situation that we're looking at right now is that bank share prices are very low. This is true pretty much wherever you look around the world. So as you can see that there are issues there, and all of these things that sort of help in the short term tend to have side effects later. If we move on to that, we now get the issue of can the banks actually help the economy? Well, around the world, we've seen moves where what they're supposed to be doing is helping smaller business lending. But we find, in reality, that it gets a lot harder than that. My late father was a small business owner, and he used to tell me again and again and again about times like these that bankers didn't support the economy. The old story that you might have heard of a banker being someone who will loan you an umbrella only when it's sunny, and he'll ask for it back when it's raining. And it was a he then, so let me bring it up to date. Could be she now. In terms of actual examples of that, if we look at the UK, the present bank rate is 0.1%. I've had people contacting me, quoting rates into double figures. One instance, someone wanted to borrow the money to pay his employees, saying he was quoted 14%. So as you can see, this makes a lot of business efforts pretty much unviable. And this is one of the ways, one of the linkages that banks are tied into the system. And then on the other side of the coin, though, we're dependent on them, they're dependent on us. Another issue here is bank share prices, which are so low. And of course, that then stops them from getting capital. But anyway, stay safe, and I'll be back next week. Thank you.